afternoon, evening. It's evening time. I want to jump on because it has just been one of those days where it was just go, 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 go. That is the first time that I've actually been home and had an opportunity since waking to sit down and, I think my bottle is broke, to sit down and do a quick live stream. Give a real quick topic while the house is quiet and stuff. You know, obviously I don't have coffee in this moment, so I was just like, no coffee, no sex, no direction. And a lot of the conversation that I've been hearing lately from people is just, especially from the feminine, from females, the women in my coaching practice, it's just that, they have no desire, no turn on. And then when their desire, their turn on kicks in, they're hungry. They're so hungry. And I understand this because I myself go through waves of turn on and not turned on, and the realization of, if you don't keep yourself active and ignited, then you get to this point of comfort in the not having. I was talking to a male client of mine yesterday about just that, about the comfort of not having, and how we will then turn to this comfort of not having, and we start to fight for the limitations to keep us in the comfort of not having. And one of the biggest areas of our life that we do this in is in our sex. It is in our orgasm. It is in the connection. We use sex as just a stress relief, but we don't use it for the connective tool to self or to our soul that we possibly could. And earlier today I was talking to a woman, and she's just recently coming into her sexual self, and she was discussing different things with me, and she's just like, I just want to feel like a princess. I want to feel like a princess. I want to feel like a goddess. And when this man touches me like this, I get ignited. I feel so good. And, she was just going through like this, how healing and how fulfilling it was to receive sensual touch. Not even sex, but sensual, conscious touch. And it made me think back to a long time ago, many a moon ago, as I always say, right? Many a moon ago, when I was that shut down, closed off woman who was so hungry and so comfortable in her hunger that I didn't know that I was starving. I did not know that I was starving. And then I got a little whiff of some good food, of some good sex. I got just this whiff of something. And it wasn't even the sex, because I hadn't had sex with anybody in that moment. But what I had was, I had some play. I had some flirting. I had just this man that was so attentive and so loving toward me, and, courting and being this total gentleman that he made me just go, wow. And it was ignition at my core, at my soul, but it was also ignition in my sex. And as I tapped into that turn on, into that arousal, and I started to open up these floodgates, because that's what it was. It was a floodgates. I became actually more hungry, where I was just like this ravenous monster of sexual energy. And the end result was I ended up having 11 boyfriends, because I was that hungry and that empty in that. Not to mention, I was learning about myself, because I had only had 3 sexual partners up to that point. I was, 30 years old at this point, had been married since I was 18, and only been with, my husband. Really didn't have any sexual experiences to speak of other than what I was used to in my average and ordinary, and then my high school sex, which was igniting and tantric and beautiful, but quickly got shut down to average, ordinary, mediocre at best sex. So I hit this moment where I started to get fed, and the feeding made me hungrier. So course, I went and I found more and more and more. And I learned about my sex. I learned about the power that it had. I learned about the empowerment that could come from it, the freedom. And the ones who are making comments right now, not needed. This is actually a serious conversation about sex. I don't care that you're nude. I learned about the empowerment process of that. And as a woman, there's so much shame around our sex. We get massive limitations put on our sex. And we starve ourselves. We get really, really hungry and we starve ourselves. And then we get comfortable starving. We believe that that is what we're supposed to do, what we need to do for ourselves. And we retract in, and it's not okay for us to have desires. It's not okay for us to feed ourselves in different ways until one day we tap into that and open it up. This conversation's not to try to tell you that you need to go have more sex. It's not about trying to tell you that you should have even a lot of sex. What I want to bring to the table is the power of how deeply empowering your sex can be, how igniting it can be to your whole life, to the charging up of your whole life. It is truly enriching to all areas. When we limit ourselves in our sex, so if we just shut it down, I'm going to just time out here. Time out because you're really irritating me, okay? Malik G. Just know that when I'm done with this live stream, I'm going to be blocking you. So, namaste. Love you. You're blocked after this. There is a confidence building back to the real conversation, not Mr. Malik G, who thinks I'm a hot babe, wants me to call him, which not going to do. And, yeah, Stacey, that's not sexy. This is not sexy. Anybody who's on here live streaming with me right now, who's listening and watching this, man, go call me, hot babe, sexy, sex. Hey, my guy just got on. I'm sure he'll appreciate your messages right there. Oh yeah, and Burke, not gonna call you either. Isn't it amazing? This is why women are shut down. And this is actually a great conversation. So thank you, gentlemen, not gentlemen, for this. The reason why women are so shut down to their sex is because of guys like you. It's completely because of guys like you. And now we're going to just spin this direction because I think that this is a really, really valuable lesson in this. Men want to know why women say no. Men want to know why women aren't turned on. Men want to know why women don't want to flaunt, flirt, or give them the time of day. The reason why women don't want that is because of men like this, who want to send dick pics, who want to talk about their penises. Thank you for telling me that you have one. I think it's probably very small. Who are insistent on things. I have zero interest in 99% of men because of that attitude. And any woman who has any confidence in her sex is not interested in that. But we get shut down as women because of that attitude right there. Men who have zero confidence in themselves, who think that it's hot or cute or something to make such comments. It's ridiculous is what it is. It's immature and it's not sexy, and you're never going to get anywhere like that. So, like I said, small. It's very, very small. Sorry. When we get empowered in our sex, we have no time or space for that kind of conversation. We get very confident in who we are. We get very confident in our sex. And the opening up of our sex is not to ever take on something that is so low and disgusting as somebody who can't even have the confidence in themselves, who have to make sly, uncool comments, disgusting, closed comments that's just like, we don't need to know that people are nude. We don't need to know that they have whatever genitalia they're sporting. We don't need to, have sexual commentary going to be sexy, To be sexy is to be confident. To be sexy is to be comfortable in your own skin. To be sexy is to be mature, have direction, have purpose. Be turned on is, again, confidence. To be ignited, to have purpose, to have passion about life. And that is an opening process. When we approach another person with our confidence, when we approach another person with our turn on, healthy turn on, not negative turn on like these gentlemen are revealing here. When we approach people with having a purpose, a sense of direction, clarity in our life, knowing who we are and being comfortable in our skin, that is igniting, that is connective, that is sexy, that is magnetizing, that does not turn others off, that does not shut others down. What it does is it opens them up. Okay? Opens them up, and not just at a sexual level, because the physical sex has zero to do with actual sexiness. Sexiness is an emotional game. It is a spiritual game. It is a mental game. Okay? It is all about psychological stuff. Hey, my beloved assistant who's on here, if you want, access my profile and just start deleting these guys while they're on here if you want. Otherwise, I'll do it when I'm done, because they're just obnoxious at this point. Very, very distracting and obnoxious. The power of having your sex opened is that you can become deeply confident in yourself. You can become deeply confident in your direction. You can ignite and use that energy towards anything else. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, back in 1936 or 1932, I think it was, maybe it was 36, he discussed in chapter 11 about, the whole chapter is about sexual transmutation. And sexual transmutation is just about pulling your sexual energy in to use it for creative forces of manifesting whatever you might want to create. Business, he goes through like Edison, and he goes through Churchill, and all these different beautiful visionaries. And thank you to my assistant there. Bye-bye, gentlemen. We basically can take that sexual charged energy, and we can start to manifest things that we really truly want to create. I encourage anybody who is, the entrepreneurs who follow me, my clients who are on, who will catch this later and everything, if you have not read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, I strongly encourage you to get the book, to read it all the way through, all the chapters, but especially if you want to really tap into what I'm trying to say here before I was rudely interrupted, that transmutation of thank you, Ron, for being a gentleman and making an actual statement that is helpful. Yes, transmutation of Kundalini energy. The tantric word for this is Kundalini energy, which is igniting, which is, turned on, healing, potent energy that is creative life force energy, which is what our sexual energy is. When we transmute that into other things, we're basically taking that energy, we're charging it, and we're refocusing it into the creation of something else. So that might be a business, that might be an invention, that might be our relationship, that might be our health, that might be, to go and make some positive ripple effect out into the world where we're helping heal our town, our city, our country, something like that. Whatever that might be, it is taking that sexual energy and transmuting it, changing it, okay? So becoming an alchemist with it to create something else, to create something more, instead of it just being used to make babies or to reduce our stress, like the men on here definitely use their sex for. There's no connection. That's evident. And that's what we deal with a lot, is that we have non-connective sex, so we don't ever draw in, we don't ever pull from it, we don't ever hold it. In the tantric arts, one of the best things that I love about it is that it teaches you how to hold your energy, how to hold it and transmute it out into different ways. There's a lot of the times when we get into like where we start to feel a certain sensation in our body, we don't know what it is, so we do something to fidget, to cause it to dissipate in the system because it is foreign to us. It becomes uncomfortable. Okay, much like what I was talking about on the front side of this, that, you know, we get into these spaces and we get so comfortable in our norm that we will start to actually argue for the limitations to keep the comfort of the norm versus getting into that Kundalini energy and moving it through us and experience it. When we hold energy and we allow it to transform into something more or something different, what we do there is we expand out, as I refer to it, is we expand out our vessel, which is our spiritual being. Okay, we expand that out. We become stronger. We become more powerful. We become more impactful. And this is where we actually get to influence those around us, the energies around us, the world around us, through the holding of our energy, instead of going, ooh, that's a little edgy, I don't know what to do with it, how can I fidget it out? In our sex, we go for the quick sex, we go for the quickie, we go for the disconnect, we go for the, like, I gotta just take the edge off, you know, like I need to have what we call an orgasm, but it's actually a climax, and it's not an orgasm at all. Orgasmic energy moves through our body. We can hold the orgasmic energy. To climax, that is letting the lid off, popping the top, pun intended, popping the top there and just kind of letting it kind of fizzle. But it's about this much of what is accessible to you. And every single human being out there has this beautiful, beautiful amount of orgasmic energy available to them. But it is the strengthening of your vessel and the expanding out of your vessel to learn how to hold that energy so that you can properly transmutate it into something much bigger, much greater, much greater. And guess what? You can learn how to do that in your sex. You can learn how to do that just in little forms of intimacy. You can learn how to do it, you know, in foreplay or just in conscious touch. Like this beautiful woman was telling me today that, you know, she felt so worshipped and she felt like a goddess when she was receiving this one massage from this man, that he just filled her up. It was an ignition. That was because she was able in that moment to experience her deep orgasmic energy and to hold it. So her container was expanding out. She was exploring herself in different levels and different layers of self that she had never really truly experienced before. And we can all do that. We can all access that completely. When we shut down our sex, we shut down that energy. We disconnect from it, and it makes it hard for us to feel understood, to feel connection, to feel intimacy, to feel vulnerability, to surrender to life, to surrender to the receiving of life. Anybody who's not receiving, I guarantee, and I mean receiving, like if you got goals, if you got things that you want to accomplish, but you're not receiving exactly what you want, look no further than your own limitations that you have created for yourself, because those limitations are all happening up here, and what you're doing is you're limiting. And I guarantee that it's somehow wrapped up back to your sex. There's some limitation, some fear, something going on in your sex where you're just not opening up. You're short-circuiting your sex, and therefore you're short-circuiting your whole world, your goals, your dreams, your desires, the receiving of the abundance that life has to offer. It's only going to start to come in when you tap in and open up to all areas. That doesn't mean that you got to go and do what I did way back yonder when, you know, all those many moons ago when I had 11 boyfriends. I have no desire to have 11 boyfriends now. That sounds like way too much. But to be open in your sex means to be comfortable in your own skin, to really cherish and love every single moment, to really soak it in, to not just pop the top and move on, not to just make it really quick. Go deep. Go into the feeling. Hey, Ron, what are some transmutation techniques you practice in addition to tantric sex? I have this thing, just so you know, I'm going to have to cut this off pretty quick because my phone's going dead on me. I didn't charge it today. I would say probably the biggest things, just to make it very, very quick, because that's a very in-depth thing, and the things that I have created into habit form to expand my vessel out, to really strength train myself in that way, to help transmutate, is this thing called the pause button that I've developed over the course of my life. Actually probably the course of the last 15-20 years. And a lot of people tell me, oh, you have so much patience. That's not patience, that's a pause button that I have. I want things now. I do. I want things now, but I've learned to kind of mentally, emotionally hit a pause button when I feel this tension coming on me. I hit the pause button and I ask myself, like, what's my role in it? What is the potential of, like, what is the actual lesson that is coming in here? And it is just to stop, pause, instead of being reactive, to be proactive. To put it into Covey terms, that's what the pause button is. Don't be reactive, be proactive. So to pause, to hold, to let yourself step back from the situation, try to get a better picture of the whole canvas instead of just having yourself right up close. The other thing that I consistently do is I take every single day, I do not get out of my bed until I have a few gratitudes released from my heart and my soul. Getting into a state of gratitude early on in the day sets the tone. It helps me to be able to transform even the negative into a positive. Getting into a meditative state for 15 to 20 minutes a day is another big thing that I do, because in that I get to kind of recharge, I get to reset, I get to reestablish exactly where I'm at. So if I'm having a really rough day where I start to see things going a little bit negative and I start to transform things into not the way that I want them to go, you'll catch me going, I need a moment. I'll put myself on timeout. I'll just go and I'll have 15 minutes. I'll get into a meditative state. And as soon as I feel myself kind of break free and there's just this opening sensation that comes about where no longer thought is really captivating me, then in that moment, normally something beautiful comes in, a feeling, or maybe a really, really strong thought, and I just feel it really pressing on me that there's something I need to do. That's when I know that I've tapped into soul, and that moment right there is something that I can take and I can actually move towards something else. Be the observer, very Eastern. Yes. I mean, that's it's so true, because in that pausing and that observing with the meditation, with the gratitude, what I found is it allows me to detach from the moment, to not get wrapped up in the heat, the drama, the trauma of anything that might be coming at me, and to realize that I run on I believe it's Byron Katie. She has this beautiful statement who says, where it is, there's your business, there's my business, and there's God's business. There's only one of those three that we can actually have any control over. And that, of course, is our business, right? And that business is our internal world. How we are thinking, how we are feeling, that's all we can ever control. We have absolutely no business trying to change God's business or somebody else's business. So the pause button, the meditation, the gratitudes help to align and adjust our business so that we can best approach something from a very proactive way instead of a reactive way, allowing ourselves to have emotional maturity and being able to completely deal with things differently, which allows us to transmutate things that come, and this energy and that holding of that energy. The pause button also is a teacher to the holding of energy. And of course, breath work. Breath work is key factor. Like if I feel myself getting off like this, you'll catch me grounding my feet, like really trying to root in, really getting stable into my feet, or going out and standing in the grass or something, getting some sunshine and coming back into my body. So deep breathing and just relaxed breathing. Book recommendations. Oh gosh. Hey, Addison, you're on there. What's the name of the book, Byron Katie? The one that I just said. If you go to thework.com, Byron Katie, I recommend any of Byron Katie's work. She's absolutely amazing. I recommend any of David Deida's books. Absolutely amazing as well. For you, especially Ron, as a man, I would definitely say get The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Very, very powerful book. I believe that every single man should read The Way of the Superior Man. Of course, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill would be another one that I would definitely recommend. And then if you're really into the tantric arts and stuff, then I would say Michael Murdad, a lot of his work. There's a whole bunch of that. Or Margot Anand has some beautiful books out that are absolutely fantastic. If that is not in your alignment, if you want something that is more mainstream, more westernized, then John Gray has Conscious Men. It is kind of the, thank you, Loving What Is by Byron Katie. John Gray has a book called Conscious Men out. That is another absolutely beautiful book. And then, if you really want to get a little bit more